things are happening, you know. My name is Adebayo Katiiti, and I'm the executive director of Radical Now. These refugees, they had homes, they had families, they had friends back home, they had jobs, they had a life, but because they can't live there because of their sex orientation or gender identity, they try to run away for their lives, to save their lives, so that they can live freely. It's not easy to start a life in a place where you don't know anyone. It's not easy to let go of your home, to let go of your friends, to let go of your jobs back home. We want you to know the stories. Perhaps some of you have lived a privileged life. Some of us have not lived a privileged life. Our life started by struggling each and every day, knowing your identity, knowing your gender identity and hiding it each and every day, closing the door each and every day. I just want you to know we are just starting a life, a free life where I can be me. I don't need much, actually. Refugees don't need a lot, no. We just need love, because we are here for love, you know. We just need someone to lean on. We just need to be ourselves. So I'm just sending this to all of you, that the stories you're gonna see in Long Road to Peace, the stories that happen to different refugees, and they're happening in different countries. And these things are happening. Some manage to survive, some can't survive. Those who have survived, they have made it here. We just want to make things a little bit easier for them, because they've seen a lot. They have a lot of things that has happened to them in countries where they come from. Let's make things easier for them here.
I always wanted to be I had a feeling I want to be a girl. I'm seeing that, okay, being that my sister are doing makeup, I always feel like they're not doing it the right way. I never think of being gay. Or maybe I would say to transform myself to be a woman. And the community started accepting me the way I was. They were not that much judgmental with me. Yes.
My brother planned a gang of men, and they raped me when I came back to the city. I think by that time I was around 16 years of age, just to prove that I'm a woman, not a man. One day I was sick, and I had to go and see a doctor, and I was injected wrong medicine, so I couldn't see it or lie on my back for 3 months. I had to go through operation.
I was used to be tortured during my childhood. By the time they knew that I'm a homosexuality, almost to kill me. I was 17 years. I decided to go out of the family. Since then I'm on my own. I had a boyfriend with me. He took me to his home. By then he was owning a shop. Then he gave me a job in his shop as his worker. I worked with him almost 5 years.
I realized I was gay when I was in grade 7. When I entered high school, I met my boyfriend. His name was Moses. They thought we were just playing soccer, but one day someone from the school caught us having sex. They called our parents and said, "These people have shamed us." My dad picked me up from the school after they expelled us and took me home. He tied me up and locked me in a dark room. He didn't give me food for a week while I was locked up. From there, he took me to a witch doctor. They cut me and showered me with goat's blood to remove the curse of being gay. It was incredibly painful. I had to run away, so I went to Kampala to meet with my boyfriend again. Because that's where he was staying with his uncle.
In 2017, I got some problems. I got a new boyfriend. He used to come to my house. The neighbors reported me to the what? To the local council. They came out with the police. They jailed me for 1,000 hours. That's almost 42 days I was in jail. When my business was closed, everything was taken, I decided to leave the country because they wanted me to go back to jail.
My boyfriend died in 2016 when we were attacked and beaten by a crowd of people. I was hit on the head and I was knocked unconscious. After the attack, I was taken to jail and locked up while I was still bleeding. They refused to provide medical attention and I was covered in blood. The police asked me if I knew anyone and I said yes. They allowed me to call my boyfriend's uncle. The uncle took me to the hospital. I was brought back to the police the next day to give a statement. They saw that I still needed treatment, so they took me back to the hospital. The police bribed the doctors there to inject me with drugs to kill me. When I realized what they intended to do, I ran from the hospital. When I was safe, I called the uncle. He asked me how much money I had. He also asked me if I knew anyone or had anywhere to hide. I told him that I had 10 million shillings, which is about 2,700 in American dollars. I told him that the money was originally intended for shopping, that it was at home, and that I could get it to him. He told me to run and hide, so I hid in the village where my mother was born. While I was in hiding, the uncle did all of the paperwork for me to come to Canada. That's how I came to be here.
I was enrolled in a convent school, but while there, I met my late girlfriend. She was called Petra. She gave me the love I needed, So we started moving out. Of course, the administration didn't know until when they got to know about it, and I was dismissed because of that. So that was the period I started getting to know my sexual orientation. After university, I lost contact with Petra. So we met again. We started from where we had stopped. We started staying together. In that community, we were not liked because they got to know about our status. They did everything they could for us to leave the community. They used to abuse us, throw slurs to us. At least every other day we could find something that has happened on our door. They couldn't allow us to interact with other neighbors. We decided to go to another community. The same things followed. They called police on us. They come in wanting to help, but at the same time, once they put you in their truck, no going back. So when they put us in the truck, they took us to the police station. We were detained there for 5 days. What happened in that period was very, very hard for me. It is. Once you're in there, they do every sort of thing they want to do here. Yeah. They beat us. They did everything, anything bad they can do. They raped us, and that is how I got that baby. Sometimes I get those nightmares, they come back. I fear walking alone with people.
When I had my boyfriend, so now my dad, he was so disappointed to be like, he didn't want to see me. There's this kind of group, it's called Gaza. This Gaza is a group of kind of Christians and Muslims. It's like a bandits, and they're known of killing people. It's not a good group. My mom called me and told me that my dad had sent the Gaza group to get rid of you. I was still in high school. And I had to run to another city, it's Mombasa. I didn't know there was a gay community, which I didn't know, I came to know later on. They tried to find me. I got a random text. And the guy told me, like, why are you in a worry? You're a young guy, you're cute, don't stress yourself. I'm gonna help you. Just come. After 2 days, I have my uncle, he's a police, and he's situated in Mombasa, the same city where I went. I saw 3 police coming, and they were like, who is Fahad? And it's like, yeah, it's me. He said, come with me. And I went with the police, and they took me to the police station. After some time, I see my uncle, and was like, ah? He's like, oh, now you have decided to be gay, you have decided to shame us now, this is what you have the life here. As long as I'm alive, I won't accept this. It will never happen in our family. My dad called for me to be beaten up, tortured, until I say I'm not going to be gay anymore. So the police started beating me up, beating me and saying, are you going to confess that you're not going to be gay? And I was like, I'm not gay. I'm not gay. Trust me, I'm not gay. So then they took a bottle and they inserted it in my ass. And they still tortured me. They took this an electric wire. It's like a shock something. They put it on my hands and my legs, cables, and like it's a shock something. Pushed me to say, yes, I'm not going to be gay anymore. And my dad was called and said, yes, I've confessed that I'm not going to be gay. Because of the torture and the pain I passed, I had just to say that I'm not gay.
I knew I was gay when I was 12 years old, and I wasn't attracted to men. I didn't have feelings for any of the men in my life. I met my girlfriend and we started dating. I decided to leave Tanzania because there were a lot of problems. We couldn't leave the house without being attacked. People beat us because they knew we were a couple. One day, we were coming back home from a friend's birthday. I was holding hands with my girlfriend. A group of people saw us, and we were severely beaten. It's really hard to talk about, and I don't know how to explain it again after all these years.
Before I was outed, my life was good. Wasn't that bad. Like, I was living in a kind of like pretense life. Pretend to be normal and like or straight, just to keep your family like in order. They found out that I had a girlfriend, and they wanted to fight it so badly. They arranged marriage for me with a man who paid dowry and to my father, and a lot of gifts and money as well. I had to go to his house. I had to be pushed to go to his house. He wasn't valuing my life that much because he knew I never loved him. He knew it was just by force. So everything we were doing was just by force. It was just pushing, fighting, and all that. In that process, I got pregnant as well with his son, my first child. I gave birth, but I left my son when he was like 8 months. And when I ran away, I informed my family and told them your daughter is out of my home, and I either get her back or I get my dowry. I was changing places, went to the island. I stayed there for like 8 months, but after with my girlfriend. When they found out, the mob wanted to kill us. They wanted to stone us. Once they find out that you're staying in the house, both of you women, they will definitely know you're gay, you're lesbians. They think that you're gonna teach the whole of the community your bad behaviors. They promised to throw our bodies in the water, so we had to run very late in the night, and we started moving around, meandering around, hiding at our friends' places. I don't know where she is right now. We were at a gay pub. Like, police knew about it, and they knew that people would hang around there, and even gay people. So they came one night, and we were there, and they arrested many of the people there. I managed to run away, and she was amongst the people they arrested. I've not heard from her ever since I came to Canada. I don't know, but I pray she's okay. I don't know. My mom kind of understood my situation, and she wanted me alive. You know, as mothers, I'm a parent right now. I would never want to see my child's grave. So my mom kind of understood the situation that I was going through, and she didn't want me to be on the run too much. Her brother, who was helping people go to Asian countries just to look for work, so she tried to talk to him and see if he can help me. I didn't meet my uncle personally until the last day, when he was giving me the visa and the ticket and telling me what to do, where I'm going to pass and all that. And then he took my other passport as well. And I'm sure he didn't even know why he was doing it.
I've been in jail, like, because of my sexual orientation. We were like three person, like me and my friends, in just like 1 meter, 2 meter. It was horrible. Like, when I remember those 5 days, it's horrible. The police themselves, they were coming to jail, and they see us, and they give us their number. They ask, like, call us when you go out, you know, like, oh my God, like, you know. And after the war, like the Islamic forces, the radical Islamic forces, they even like they kill the gays, they throw them from the high tops. It was illegal, but we keep like doing our like organization in secret way, parties, and you know, secret ways. Sometimes like police attack us to our parties, so we give them money, or we run, or you know, yeah.
There was the International Gay and Lesbian Aquatics competitions that took place in Edmonton. Before I came to Canada, we had a gay pride event, and the police raided the pride event. It's the memory that can't go out of my mind. We were highly beaten. Personally, I was undressed to check if I was a man or a woman. Like, the police pulled out hair into transgender women, like pulling out hair. You can see blood on the floor. We were taken to the police. They forcefully undress you, and they take pictures of you, and then they make you dress up again the way you were, and they take pictures of you. We were beaten, like people just the police guys step on you. They like was tough. Like, that night, it's a night that won't, it's a nightmare for me. It can't just go out of my mind. We had to come to Canada like 2 days after the police raided the event. We had to come to Canada, and we came, but my family didn't know about everything. But this time, they shown the national news shown my face. My family got to see me. So they decided to chase me away and disown me. It's really hard at 22 years not having your mom and dad, your brothers and sisters. I took a tough decision to stay in a place where I don't know anyone, where I don't have a brother, where I don't have a sister. And that's how I came to Canada, and that's how I decided to stay. The tournament was really good. I won 9 gold medals. Yeah, and 1 silver. I was supposed to go back, and I was ready to go back. But the people I was staying with, I told them that in case this guy takes me back, that's going to be the end of me. Because I've seen my friends die. I've seen my friends being killed because of being gay. I've lost a lot of them. And so Simon was like, no, Ade, if you think it's about life and death, stay, we'll see how we can help. And then that's how I got connected to a church called St. Paul United Church.
I just kept wondering, like, what are these people going back to? And there's this huge media spectacle around their being here, and for our entertainment, we get to watch this, and for our awareness and our education, we get to watch this. But I mean, they're going to go home and they're going to face the music, and the people in Edmonton who are watching this and learning from this situation are not going to have to face the music. And some people in the church community had encouraged our 2 refugees and said, you know, you should go and see, and they did go, and one of them met Adebayo and caught up with the swim team and spent some time with him and the team that time that they were there. And I had mentioned to him, you know, ask them if they need any help, if everything is going to be, what is it going to be like for them when they go home. And, you know, if they need anything, let them know that they can call. And so then one night, very late, around 11 o'clock, I had a phone call from Adebayo, and his voice was so small and weak. And he didn't say much, but he said, I can't go home. I need help. And I thought, okay, we'll figure this out. I'd been doing some research about, you know, can you make a refugee claim in Canada? I didn't even know that you could do it from within Canada, but I found stuff online and thought, well, I guess it's possible, so I should tell this person at least that it's possible. I have no idea, I haven't done this before, but I'm game, let's do this. So I called Sarah at the Mennonite Center the next morning. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing, and I've just told this person that they can come, and I have honestly no idea, so I need your help. And she was kind enough, she came.
Heather was calling and texting to see if I would know what to do next. We met at St. Paul's, and just, you know, the series of things that needed to happen, like looking for a place to stay and keeping a log of what had been happening, or kind of documenting some of the reasons that he was fearful about going back, and just being able to keep track of what was going on, because things can be so complicated. And so we were just kind of trying to give him advice about what we thought might be useful, and start working on filling out a basis of claim for the refugee claim process. And but simultaneously, as we were doing that, trying to connect him with community. So he had been connected to St. Paul's, and then he met me, and I wanted to meet other people in the queer community and get connected to the Pride Center. And I think something that is probably really important to remember about Addie's experience, especially at that time, was how unique it was. In Addie's case, it's amazing because he came here specifically for games that were connecting him to people in the community, and like the next steps to unfold, like he had options in that case, right? So for someone like Addie, I helped him to find a place to stay from somebody that was living near St. Paul's, so that he could be still connected to the people in the church for support. He had people to take him and drive him to different appointments or to meet different people, and to come to the Mennonite Center, for example, to talk to the settlement workers there that have some experience with people in a refugee claims process. And so there's all of these different things that were happening where he had some connection or someone to guide him or help him through those next pieces, which I think is probably the most important part for running through those initial stages.
There's a friend of mine, she's the one who told me go to Canada. It's a more safer place. You will not suffer there. Once she told me that, I had to look for every possible way of getting here. Coming in a country where you know no one, you're just on your own, you're heavy, you're pregnant, I'd never seen a doctor. I didn't know anything about pregnancy. I didn't know what to do when I reached here. It was hard for me, very hard. All I wanted and I was dying for was to get protected. Yeah.
There was a guy who used to live in Tanzania. I lived in Tanzania with him because he was interested in me. I got a visa in Tanzania. It took me almost 2 months to prepare myself to come to Canada. I did not have anybody I knew in Canada. I had no anybody. I'd already paid for my hotel and I had little money with me. When I came to the hotel at around 1 o'clock, nobody was there. I called their phone, nobody was picking the phone. So I talked to the taxi driver. He dropped me on Safeway. I stayed at Safeway almost 1.5 days. That's where Hadi got me. We were talking a same accent. That's why he got the kindness to do what? To help me. He took me at his home for one night. He connected me to some people on his back, like Heather. He connected me to Basso. They connected me to this roommate. That's why I'm here, through Hadi. Had no step forward. For sure, I had no step forward. But I was there. Whatever God was willing to give me, that was what I was going with.
I came directly to Edmonton. When I arrived, the taxi driver took me to Hope Mission because I had no family here. When I was at Hope Mission, I told them I was gay, and they directed me to the Mennonite Center. Canada is not too bad, but the weather has been very cold for me. I've been receiving financial support through Alberta Works, but the funds are not enough to cover both food and rent. I have to budget very carefully because I receive so little money. I was doing casual work, but I stopped because there is no work right now. I remember one day, a white person came up to me on the street asking for change. He was so aggressive, and I was just trying to walk. So I said, "Why? What do you want it for?" I kept asking, "Change for what?" And then the guy pulled out a knife and threatened to stab me, and I almost gave him the $20 that I had. As I was digging through my backpack for my wallet, a bystander stopped him because he was about to stab me in the back. I later found out that the guy who saved me was a plainclothes police officer. After that, I didn't know what was happening. I just saw the police car come and take him away. That was my scariest day in Canada.
This opportunity came for a conference for the UN, and thank God. And I made the opportunity to come to the US. By then, 2 friends of mine who were persecuted had already made it to US, one to Canada. My intention was to come to Canada. So I took a bus to Buffalo, from Buffalo to Niagara Falls, where at the border of Toronto, Canada and US. It was in the middle of night, walking on the bridge, going to Canada. I didn't have a visa. My plan was to ask for a refugee at the border. They rejected me the admission because I wasn't eligible, being that they have agreement of the safe country. I was so confused that because I didn't have, being they telling me to go back to US, and I didn't have any family in US. I don't know anyone. Like, my intention was not to stay in the US. So I'm like, oh my, what am I going to do? I had this taxi driver who drove me to the border. I called him and he told me, okay, let me think of a plan. I'm going to take you somewhere and you have to pay me for me to take you there. I told him how much. It's $100. That's the only money I had. And he took me to that place. It was a refugee place. It's called Vive la Casa. They take people to Canada who have family. I don't have family. I'm staying there. They've told me for 1 week. This place has African people, refugee. Africans still have that. This is not a gay-friendly thing. They're still the same. It has not changed. Nothing is changing. I'm just feeling the same thing is repeating in my life. The same thing is coming back again. The same hatred I faced. I met this guy. He was 56 years old. At first he acted like he's trying to want to help me, but okay. I told him I want to stay. He said, like, you want to stay in the US? Okay, I'm going to help you to make your papers and everything. As time go, I felt like he's using me, daily threatening that he's going to make me deported. That if I don't do this, forcing me to have sex. For 3 months, I faced the same thing and was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I was so worried because he was really fucking a lot of people. A lot of guys were coming to his house. And I was so worried about my whole health. But I have to do what he's telling me, or else I'll end up homeless. I end up again with STI, syphilis. I was like, oh my God, what is this? At that point, I said, no, this no matter. No, I won't allow to die. At the same time, life was hard, but I couldn't give up because of the people who looked at me, people who believed in me, who were back home, the gay people I left, who knew that things were gonna change because of me, who had hope with me. Remember, I had already been dismissed for 1 year, but I broke the rule and came back to Canada. Thank God this time they accepted me. I'm now under a status which they call pre-removal risk assessment. And in this situation, it's so bad because you're left all alone. You don't have any support.
My sister was came through like the government, UNHCR. So when she came to Edmonton, she applied for me like to sponsorship. They found me sponsorship and he bring me to Edmonton. For me, she said, I'm gonna do my best to bring you here because my sexual orientation, like in media it shows us like it's utopia, you know, like it's really good here and it's way better than Syria and it's 1,000 times it's better. But still, like, I was like, I get a lot of discrimination here in the street since me and my boyfriend, we were holding hands in Edmonton. A lot of people, like, they shout at us and they tell us facts. And so even on my CV, like my resume, it's like Raita Muhammad, and I have like LGBT volunteer. So I can't find a job. Like, I'm looking for a job and I can't.
A lot of people don't understand that the onus is on them to prove their claim. The majority of my clients and people that I know who go through the process have a family member or a friend or seek legal counsel to help them understand what information is ideal to place in the documents, because the refugee claim documents are the foundation of the claim. If there's any errors, mistakes, omissions within the document themselves, that can prove problematic at the hearing.
It depends on who you get as a hearing. They call them member, the judge, and some of them can be quite biased and have it in their heads, it seems, that even though there's been a lot of evidence submitted and the story makes sense, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. And we do have a situation like that, somebody that we've been working with to kind of help him navigate through and get things worked out. But I have seen quite a few cases that were very straightforward, and they were able to work with a lawyer, which is important that they have representation, or an immigration consultant.
So in the refugee claim process, my role is to assist people in preparing for their hearing. If there's paperwork they have here in Canada, great, we'll submit that to the refugee board, right? If there's paperwork they can access back home, then great, I'll ask them to gather those things. If there are people who are familiar with their claim and their story and the reason why they're seeking protection, whether it's here in Canada or overseas, I'll ask them to gather information from those individuals. It could be in the form of letters, affidavits. And then at the day of the hearing, I'm there with that person, right? So assisting them in making sure that their story comes out completely.
At first, they gave me a date for my hearing, but I didn't have a lawyer yet. The first lawyer I met with refused to be my counsel. She suggested that I go to legal aid to try to find another lawyer. I got a shock in court. The lawyer left me in the courtroom all alone. They quit my case during the hearing, and the hearing was postponed until I found new counsel. In my second hearing, the interpreter was mixing my language with a different language, and I couldn't understand what she was saying. So I said, "No, I don't understand what she's saying," and I asked for an interpreter that actually spoke my language. So my hearing was postponed once again.
I came in, I didn't know anyone, I was alone. I had a lot on my mind. I had a lot that I had to put together. Yes, this is me. I'm coming in a new country. There are rules that you have to follow. Yes, everything has procedures. Remember, I do not have any funds. Yes, so to get to an office to register you for funds, it's also a long process. They give you little time, to prepare all the paperwork. So at the end of the day, it becomes too frustrating. Remember the situation you're in. You're heavy. You have to bring this. You have to go see a lawyer. The lawyer wants this. You have to call back home to give you some evidence, which evidence some they cannot give you because you're not in good contact with them, right? With all that happened in that situation, and then you come here, you go for your hearing, and it doesn't go well. You get so frustrated. Yeah, they gave me so many reasons. There was credibility and identity. You appeal if you want, but the government doesn't pay for the appeal. You have to look for a lawyer, and you know how expensive they are. My refugee claimant is in appeal status. They accepted the appeal, and we're waiting for another hearing date. If you don't appeal, you can't stay in the country. So that means you have to be sent back home, which I do not want. I don't feel safe there.
When I reached here and they asked me if I've ever used any other names, I said no. If I've ever used any other passports, I said no. I was just protecting myself, and I was scared, like if they found out, they were just going to take me back. So when I told them that and I provided them all the evidences, all the support documents, they did not believe it because I lost my credibility when I said no. So it came out negative, the hearing. That just cut off everything. That very day, I went and one of the bars on White Avenue, I met some guys, and as we were drinking, and they kind of seemed like they would help me, but that night I ended up in their home. I didn't know how. I was used. The following day I just got a taxi and came back to my address where I was staying, and just like in a few weeks I found out I was pregnant. I couldn't do anything. I had to swallow every problem that was going on with me, but then I just said God would carry me through. I appealed my case in August. The decision from the appeal came back negative as well. I got a call from one of the officers from the Canada Border Service, and they wanted to send me back just immediately had given birth. I had a C-section. I wasn't yet fully healed. So when they saw her, they asked me, who's she? I was like, she's my daughter. And then they asked me to go and make sure I get her passport because they wanted me to go home. I went in with a social worker. She tried to talk to them and told them, can't you give her a chance, or what can we do? And they said, there's nothing we can do. And then she was like, okay, you can put in an application, like pre-removal risk assessment application, or humanitarian, but still there's nothing much you can do.
Coming to Canada was quite different from what I expected. I was told that if I went to Canada, the government would help me and protect me. So when I went to court for my hearing, the judge and my lawyer asked for a lot of evidence that I couldn't provide. I didn't have access to any of these documents because I'd fled my home with nothing. So my claim was denied. Right now, I'm hiding in Canada. I'm hiding from the police. What they'd told me, that Canada will protect me, that's not what I'm seeing now. Right now, I don't have anyone who's helping me. I'm still hiding, but when Adebayo called me for this interview, I decided to come anyways. I'm under a deportation order, but I'm afraid to go back home because I really don't want to die. I know 2 other refugees who are in the same situation as I'm in right now.
With the SOGI guidelines, the guidelines are designed to assist the board members in having an understanding of the unique barriers and challenges that individuals in that community face.
It's in their minds now, right? So it gives them a different way to look at things. And if you read through the guidelines, it gives them explanation for why someone might not answer a question in the way that you might expect. And so it provides a little bit of context, which I think is always helpful. And I think that I don't know, I can't see how it wouldn't be helping.
Right, so the board member will think, oh, okay, well, if someone was married, then that was to ensure their safety, right? Sometimes individuals from that community face a lot of sexual violence, so then the board member, the guidelines sort of help the member understand how the sexual violence sort of integrates with the claim, how people sort of live in the closet, right? And how people adjust to life here, right? So sometimes there might be some assumptions the board member makes to think, okay, well, if the person's here in Canada, all of a sudden they're going to feel free and they're going to join all these different queer communities, which is not necessarily the case, right? So the guidelines help the board member understand, you know what, people make decisions about how they conduct their life back home and here in Canada that might fall outside of the box, but doesn't necessarily mean that the person's not telling the truth or that the person isn't an individual who's from this community. With the refugee appeal, the refugee appeal division member will say, was this assessment done correctly, right? Is there sort of maybe a misunderstanding or misinterpretation, some sort of miscommunication? Maybe the member was too microscopic in their analysis of the claim, and so the refugee appeal division member will look at it, sort of re-examine the claim.
I applied for the pre-removal risk assessment. I waited for their decision. It took so long to get it until just like last month. That's when they gave it to me. It was negative. It was very negative, yeah. Since I applied for humanitarian again, because I've made 2 applications of humanitarian and compassionate. The first one they denied it, but this other one, the same process, it's not been decided on. I think if I had not gone to the Member of Parliament for help, I think I would be there and still wait for the decision to be made before I'm being sent away. But since I went to our office for help, now I'm being sent away.
Here at St. Paul's, I chair the Social Justice Committee. We mostly do luncheons, church luncheons, where we present topics of social justice interest, and we raise funds at our luncheons for things like slavery and reconciliation and environmental topics sometimes. We have a humongous affirm commitment at St. Paul's, and when we say affirm, we mean that in this church, LGBTQ people and all of the other letters that come after that are welcome here. And we do, some of our lunchtime presentations have to do with those issues that are faced. I would say many of the people in this community have lived very privileged lives, and we get that, and we understand that, and we see it then as our responsibility to look around to those around us and see who needs the extra help, because we were given the help. Why we shouldn't share it? I try to stay in touch with all of them regularly as much as possible, and it's not so much that I spend a lot of time, but they just need to know that I'm thinking about them and I'm checking in with them, because I think when you arrive in a country and you don't know anyone, just having someone send a text message that says, "How was your day?" can make all the difference, to just know that somebody's got your back. We originally had just a fund that was intended for sponsorship, and then in the spring of last year we changed. We allocated some money from that fund so that we could do more outreach with refugee claimants. So that has allowed us to do more. We have been working more with the Mennonite Center these days, and they have this full-time person now who does LGBTQ refugee claimant work, which is awesome, because that's kind of similar to what we had been doing. So it's great to be able to form that relationship and work with them. They need some guidance as to how to make a claim, and especially when the winter is cold and they've just arrived from the airplane from Africa. I mean, it would be good for sure to have a place where they could go that was known about, where they could go and find the support and the advice and the direction that they needed, and kind of talked about a little bit what the place should look like, because a lot of them come with security issues. You know, they faced a lot of violence. They don't feel safe. They need a place where they can just lock the door. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be fancy. It just needs a door that locks so that they can feel like they're safe, and they can sleep and rest and get their head figured out so they're ready to take on making the claim and starting a new life in a brand new place. I think our goal, I guess, is to probably be more in connection with some of the other churches, to work on this housing bit, which is something I hope that we can accomplish soon. I think I've been whispering in the ears of the right people now, so hopefully we can get some discussions going about that. I really would love to see a project like that come to be.
I work for Edmonton Mennonite Center and the Bride Center of Edmonton. So I'm supporting refugee claimant LGBTQ through the immigration process, support them from the first day they came to Canada till they got accepted. In other provinces, there is lawyers, legal aid, they support the claimant. Here, there isn't this service. Through this program, we are supporting them through the basis of claim and like the refugee forms. So this is like the forms that's important for them, and like the housing, the money, the everything, and like to find them, to start introduce them to the community. So also like all of this, we do it at the first thing when they came to me, when they came here to MCN or the Bride Center.
Your lawyer is there to sort of act as a coach to help you prepare for the hearing, because at the hearings, 99% of the work is from the claimant, right? It's that interaction between the board member and the claimant. So as counsel, right, my ideal hearing is where I go and I don't say anything. I don't have to ask any questions because the board member has asked all of the questions and my client has answered really well. And I don't have to make submissions because the board member says, you know what, I've gotten enough information from our conversation to make a positive decision. So my work is really behind the scenes in, making sure that the person has gathered all of the information that they need, right? Making sure that the person is prepared for the hearing. So I will spend countless hours just practicing questions, pretending I'm the board member and asking questions one after the other. Legal aid is not free, right? And there is a cost, an hourly rate that the person is charged for the work that counsel do. There is cost for translations of documents, right? If you've had to have an interpreter assist you while you're meeting with a lawyer, there's going to be that cost as well. sending things, photocopying documents, sending things through the mail, whether it's express or regular mail. There might be fees to get a new birth certificate or get a hold of that marriage certificate, right? So it can be quite costly. And it will vary based on whether or not you're using an immigration consultant versus counsel through legal aid or using counsel privately. So it can run into the thousands of dollars.
I was volunteering also with a group for newcomer LGBT in Turkey. It was a very nice group, I missed them so much. It was all volunteer, we all share our ideas and stuff and activities, and we educate ourselves about everything in LGBT. So I came here, I thought there will be already something like that here, but I get shocked there is nothing here going on. I start to think why, my friend told me, why you don't start this group? And I was like, yeah, why I didn't? Yeah, I dated a guy and we come in a relationship, and he has also these ideas. So we start to make LGBT newcomers Edmonton group here in Nina Haggerty, which is, they're very generous. They directly, 5 minutes we're talking about the group and they just give us the key directly. They're very generous. And it start 10 now, 30 people they came, yeah. So yeah, the group is for all of us, it's our group for all, we can. Yeah, we doing activities, game nights, movie nights, but I hope in the future, I was thinking in the future, I wanted to be more educate ourselves more about things in LGBT. We came in from countries we don't have that education about the LGBT newcomers. So yeah, we should have more education about it, educate people, the group about it, about our rights here in Canada, about the laws here in Canada for the LGBT newcomers, to educate ourselves.
So why it's important to have this group, the LGBT newcomer group? Those refugee claimants, they are running away from their own families. They are running away from their own culture and their own people. And then when they came here, there is no family support. There is no community support, cultural support for them. We need to be family for each other. We need to build a community. And this is the most thing I'm proud of about the LGBTQ newcomer group. It's community by itself.
Looking at what ideal support might look like, knowing where to send someone right away. So tangible, visible supports, well-supported programs so that there's the interpretation and bus tickets or transportation. Food is often an issue. Housing, safe housing especially. Work permits, adequate emotional support, so therapists that can actually work with people through that trauma and at the same time help people to prepare for having to talk about their experiences in a very, very specific hearing context. And the actual process of filling out the form, having someone to go to the hearing with them if someone wants to go alone, it can be so terrifying. You don't know what this member thinks of you or about your situation, or maybe they see the way that you've written it because you didn't have any of that support, and so it looks inconsistent, or maybe it looks like there's credibility or whatever, right? Issues that might be part of it. And so to have someone there is so important. I recently went to a hearing where the interpreter reacted badly around LGBTQ language, and that really triggered the person. This is the day when they're there to tell their story and to give context, and they're immediately triggered into withdrawing and not being able to share it because the person that's supposed to be interpreting for them has reacted badly about who they are. The social support too. So right now I think it's great because there is a community forming, a visible community forming. So there's a place that you can go on Friday nights to connect in, but sustaining all of that in some way where it's not just a blip, it's not just because people have energy right now, but to find ways to stabilize that over a long term. All of those things I think are ingredients to truly supporting LGBTQ refugee claimants.
they bring to me so much gratitude and so much enthusiasm, and I mean, they light up my life for sure. I think to Canada, they bring a lot of gratitude for the opportunity. Because I've had so much privilege and opportunity, I just feel like it's my responsibility to provide as much support as I can to these people who have not, because it wasn't their choice to be born into those situations where they had to leave their homes. They wouldn't leave their homes if they had a choice. They'd be with their families. That's not fair. So if I can be here for them, and if our community can provide some sense of family and friendship to them, I mean, what does that cost us? Nothing at all. And they deserve that as much as anyone else.
Most of them, they want to continue education, they want to start work. A majority of refugee claimants, they came here, they are very eager to work. So as soon as I can apply for them for work permit, as soon as they got the work permit, they start to go like do courses, job search, job fairs. I'm so proud of them because of that. Like they look for a job, and like they want to be integrated in the community. They want to give back.
Because I've been through a lot and stuff and culture shock, I start like to have depression and anxiety. I'm going to therapy now. I'm taking medicine. So also like now I start like to find discrimination about like mental health issue, but I'm trying to educate people about the mental health. It's not a shame, like, you know. So that's why I want to study like social work, human rights stuff, to make change in community, in the world, and that's my passion. I want to live in Toronto, so I think in 5 years I will be in Toronto working in organization, social work in Toronto. Yeah, now I have a boyfriend who also like we helped together to make the group LGBT Newcomer. He's in Vancouver. He came today. I didn't see him yet. I'm waiting. After I'm going to meet him. Yeah, we've been dating almost a year. We love each other so much. We work in our things. There is some difficulties, like, you know, all relationship, but I don't know. Yeah. Of course, like, I love to have, a relationship and kids and family. Yeah, that would be awesome.
I don't think I have a future. Everywhere I turn, I just find more problems. Right now, I just think about today. I'm focusing on surviving one day at a time. If Canada gives me status, first I want to study English. After I study English, I want to be free to travel and also help advocate for other gay Tanzanians. I want to show the world how hard it is for them. I also want to work because I come from a very poor family. And I want to send money back to Tanzania to help them. I fear the police here because I might be stopped and detained. Even when I'm sick, I'm scared to go to the hospital because they could deport me.
I have no idea because I cannot plan right now when I'm not done with what? With my refugee status. Actually, I'll go back to school. That's the first thing. I'll go back to school. Then I'll take a course to see what I'll be doing.
I don't know about the future. I'm really worried about my next hearing, and I hope it goes okay. For my life, I want to eventually go back to school and graduate. I want to learn English and also study automotive mechanics and business. That's the course I want to take because it's my passion.
I have to get at least a course to do, social work. That's what I'm thinking, so that I help people also who come here. Yeah? Because I've gone through a lot, I'm seeing it, and I want to help others that come in. Not only from Uganda, but also elsewhere. Yeah? Because it is not easy. Coming to a country where you don't know no one, coming to a country where you're running away from home. Yeah, it's not easy.
I wanted to be a designer, a jewelry designer. because I make my own jewelries. I have good ideas. I wanted to own a big jewelry store. I had that. Even if I studied and I did social sciences, I would love to continue with my studies as well and do like masters in social sciences so that I can also pursue what I studied. But I really have in mind that I want to own a very big jewelry store.
When we first met Susie, her situation was really bad. She was supposed to be deported back to Uganda in 2 weeks, actually. Yeah. Ralika now organized a letter campaign and email campaign and started a petition to stop the deportation of Susie. We had back saying that our humanitarian has been approved. So Susie is gonna stay in Canada and she is now applying for her permanent residence. So the difference with that is that Susie had a Canadian-born baby. So despite Canada chasing Susie away, they had to look into the condition of the baby, how the baby is gonna be, the Canadian-born child. So they considered everything, and basically that's the main focus of the humanitarian. Ralika is an organization for all LGBTIQ refugees in Canada. Our main focus is to create awareness of LGBTIQ refugees in Canada and to find connecting the refugees to different social groups, connecting them to different supports that can help them settle in Canada and feel free, find a home to stay, to decrease the trauma around their stories and everything. The most important thing is to make sure refugees are connected to the supports they need. What happens is that they will start filling in their refugee claims in a wrong way, and they will end up refugee claims being denied, even applying for appeal, it might end up being rejected, and that puts their chances of staying in Canada at a very, very low level. And if they're not connected to the supports like EMCN, Catholic Social Services, St. Paul United Church, the Newcomers Group, the Pride Center of Edmonton, it's hard for them to settle, to find that hospitality, to find those connections, to build relationships, and to feel at home, to feel like they belong somewhere, to get the support they have to get in Canada. I had so much support on my plate, but despite the support I had on my plate, there were challenges, which traumatized me all the time. I thought about, because very many LGBTIQ refugees are coming in. I was like, I need to cover up these gaps, because if someone else doesn't see this whole gap and just steps in it, it's gonna be hard for them. It will be hard. Some people might even lose their life. So I started thinking about what I should do, and I came up with this idea. Let me come up with something that can help connect them to the resources they need, Let us be the center of the support. Why I want people to see this. I want to first send this song to them. I didn't plan to stay. I didn't think I'll stay. I didn't think I'll be disowned by them. But here I am now. Here I am now. I stayed. Here I am now, sing this song to you. Raise up and shine, stand up and walk. Know that in life, each and every step you make counts. Just look how far I've come, where I am now. Please don't give up. I didn't plan to stay. I didn't think I'll stay. I didn't think I'll be disowned by them. But here I am now. Here I am now. I stayed. Here I am now. Sing this song to you. Back in my mind, each and every day, I think about home. I think about my mom. I think about my friends. I can't play with them anymore. I can't eat with them anymore, 'cause I stayed to save my life. I didn't plan to stay. I didn't think I'll stay. I didn't think I'll be disowned by them. But here I am now. Here I am now. I stayed. Here I am now, sing this song to you. Here I am now. Here I am now, I stayed. Here I am now, sing this song to you.